Hey friends! This week we are going to go over some of the art elements that we have learned so far this year. Those are line, shape, pattern, texture, value, and space. We've used lots of different lines and shapes this year, so I think you guys have that down pretty well. And then pattern. What's an example of a pattern? We have those A-B patterns, right? Like square, circle, square, circle. Or it could be anything that is repeated over and over again, right? Because in art, a pattern can mean just repeating the same shape or line over and over again. Then we talked about texture. Does anyone remember what texture is? I'll give you a hint. It's things that you can feel, right? And visual texture is when you can see a texture on a paper that you can't actually feel. Now, the last two elements of art that we're talking about for you big guys are space, which isn't outer space. It's like the space in a room, like my wall is behind me, right? Or in this picture where the sky is taking a picture of the road. And value. Value being something that goes from light to dark or from dark to light. We used value to shade some of our pictures and create that illusion of space to make something look 3D, right? Another way we created that illusion was in our Carmen Lomas Garza pictures that we made way back. Remember those memories we drew? Where we drew some things up high so they looked further away and some things down low so that they look closer. Using value or shading, as well as placing things in different parts of your page, helps to create that illusion of space, like that magic trick we talked about. So we are going to combine all of these skills in an art assignment today, and I'll show you how. Have you ever seen a castle like this before? I know here in New Mexico we don't have a lot of castles, but we have some pretty cool buildings. Around the world, people have been creating different types of castles or gigantic cool buildings for ages, and they look really neat. So what we're going to be doing today is we are going to be using our art elements to design our own special castle or building. It could be a house that you could live in. It could be an imaginary place for some characters you came up with. It's up to you. Here are a few different examples of castles to give us some ideas. Somebody used Minecraft to design this castle. Now, I would like you to complete this assignment using our usual art materials or seesaw. But I know some of you may have been really inspired by those Minecraft pictures that I showed you. So, once you've completely finished your assignments and you've turned it in on Seesaw, when you have time, as an extension, you can go into Minecraft and design your own castle. I would love to see a picture or a video of whatever you create. Now let's draw together. We're going to start by deciding where our castle is going to be. It could be in a place with mountains, so you can draw curved lines, or it could be in a place that's flat. I think if you're a little nervous about drawing your castle, it might be good to start with a flat line. So I'm going to do a straight line across part of my page. Doesn't have to be perfect because the ground is never perfectly straight, right? It's usually kind of bumpy. And as soon as you have that line, you are ready to start building your castle on top. Now we're going to start with some geometric shapes. If you remember, geometric shapes are shapes with names, like squares. Squares have 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. I think that square needs to be a little longer so that it looks more like a square. There we go. Another geometric shape is a rectangle. I think I'm going to draw a couple of rectangles. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. And I think I'll do another one over here. Another geometric shape is a triangle. Triangles have 3 sides, so there's 1, 2, 3. I think maybe I'll make one more triangle. 1, 2, 3. All right. So I'm trying to think of another geometric shape. Oh, you know what a great geometric shape is? A circle. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe it's a circular window. Another geometric shape is a diamond. Maybe we could have some shapes, some windows that look like diamonds or rhombuses. And let's see how many geometric shapes we have. Let's see. Square is 1. Rectangles, that's 2. Triangles, that's 3. Circle, that's 4. And a couple of diamonds or rhombuses, that's 5. I want you to have at least 5 different geometric shapes or shapes with names. Then you can start adding other types of shapes. If you remember, the other shapes that we talked about last semester are organic shapes. Organic shapes are shapes that are kind of curved and crazy. Sometimes they're random, sometimes they're simple. It's totally up to you. You can give your castle a slide. I want you to design your castle how you want to design it. You want it to be yours, nobody else's, because if everybody's art looked exactly the same, that would be super boring. So go ahead and add some more geometric and organic shapes to your castle. Once you've added some more details to your castle, you can start adding patterns. You may have noticed I already started adding a pattern. This pattern is sideways, up, sideways, down, sideways, up, sideways, down. That makes it look like the top of a castle. I'll show you one more time. In order to do this pattern, if you would like to do it, you can go sideways, down, sideways, up, sideways, down, sideways, up. You can do whatever patterns you would like. I would like to see at least 3 different patterns on your picture. Another example of a pattern you could do is some curved lines on top of a tower. Or maybe some zigzags. You could even design some kind of pattern on a flag if you decide to do some flags. Maybe I'll do some polka dots. Now let's see. We have shape and line. We have patterns. Now we're just needing texture and space. Now, if you were to touch a castle wall, what do you think it would feel like? Maybe rough or bumpy. I think I'm going to add some bricks. Ooh, maybe after I add a door. That's also a type of pattern. You can also do your own crazy lines to make your castle look like it has a specific texture. An example of making your castle look bumpy would be to go in and just do some little crazy little curves, almost like shingles on your wall or stucco, or maybe there's spikes on your castle. I don't know. It's up to you. Your castle, man. All right. So now we have lines, shape, patterns, texture, and we are needing to make that illusion of space. So, thinking about making this look 3D, we want it to look like this castle is real. It's not just flat. So we should put some things in front of it and behind it. That's called foreground and background. So if you want, maybe you could draw some mountains. A great way to draw mountains is by adding some curved lines. But when I hit my mountain at my castle, I'm going to stop and then start again on the other side. And then when I hit my castle, I'm going to stop and then start again on the other side. Then I'm going to stop and start again on the other side. You could draw some little hills down low if you want to. But once again, when you're drawing them, when you get to your castle, you stop and then do it on the other side. Now let's see. I could do maybe a lake in front of my castle. I could do a little pool here. Maybe if you wanted, you could draw a dragon or a person. I don't know. It's completely up to you. I think another thing I could put in front of my castle is maybe a tree. Now, since I'm doing this in pencil, this is starting to look a little crazy, right? But the nice thing is, once I go over it with pen, I can just ignore this part and only draw my tree so that it looks like my tree is overlapping my castle. Once you have your sketch down, if you have a marker or pen, you can go over it with that writing tool before you start coloring. Now that I went over my picture with a marker or pen or whatever writing tool I have, I can erase my extra pencil marks if I want. I want you guys to add as many of your own details as you can. I want you guys to think, if I had a castle of my very own, what would it look like? All right? I want you to think big. Is there a swimming pool on the roof? Are there a bunch of animals inside? Who else is there? I don't know. It's up to you guys, but I want you to add lots of details and completely color your page so that there is no white space left. Now you probably noticed while I was coloring that I started adding some little shadows to start making my picture look a little more 3D. You can even see some value here where it goes from dark to light on some of my shapes. Let's make those a little darker because I know you guys, since you're bigger, can handle doing more value in your pictures. I'll show you how I do it. I'm going to go in and think about where my light's coming from. So it looks like our highlights are kind of on the right side of our shapes, right? So I'm going to go in with a darker writing tool and start adding shadows so that it looks like my shapes are more 3D. I'm going to press extra hard, right? Instead of pressing lightly for those shadows. And then I have a shadow down here on the ground. You can see the shadow of my castle even goes onto the lake a little bit. Can give my horse more of a shadow, as well as my tree. And I'll start making some of those shadows on my mountains a little darker too. If you really want to get detailed, you can go into every one of your bricks and add a little shadow on one side. That's completely up to you. I think it looks very cool when you do that. Here's your objectives. Number 1, I can use lines, shapes, and patterns to create at least 3 types of visual texture in my picture. So let's see. 1, there's some spikes on my tree. 2, there's that pattern of the bricks. And 3, there's the bumps on my towers, those little lines. Number 2, I can create the illusion, or magic trick, of space by drawing some things lower on the page to make them look closer, and some things higher on the page to make them look like they are far away. En español. Número 1. Yo puedo usar lineas, figuras y patrones para crear al menos 3 tipos de textura visual en mi dibujo. 1, 2, 3. Número 2. Yo puedo crear una ilusión de espacio, dibujando algunas cosas lejos en la parte alta de la página y otras cosas cercas en la parte baja de la página.